He said, why is it that CDC and every state regulator recommends that pregnant women do not eat tuna fish to avoid the mercury, but that CDC is recommending mercury-containing flu shots with huge bolus doses of mercury, I mean massive doses, to pregnant women in every trimester of pregnancy. And he said to me, he said, well, Bobby, in this kind of patronizing way, and by the way, when I talked to Paul Offit, he started the conversation. He was very enthusiastic, and he said, your father was my hero. The reason I got into public service and public health was because I was inspired by your father. So that kind of, I'm susceptible, like anybody else, to kind of that kind of flattery. So I was inclined to like the guy. But then he said this. I asked him about how can you be, telling people not to eat, women not to eat tuna fish, but giving them a flu shot that has, these huge doses. And he said, well, Bobby, there's two kinds of mercury. There's a good mercury and there's a bad mercury. And the minute he said, and I knew there's a different kind of mercury in the vaccines. It's ethyl mercury in the vaccines and methyl mercury in the fish. But I know by then you can imagine, I know a lot about mercury. I've been suing people. When you sue somebody, you get a PhD in that. You know more than anybody in the world. You have to, or you're not going to win your lawsuit. So I knew a lot about mercury, and I knew that his argument was not with me, but it was with the periodic tables, because there's no such thing as a good mercury. And I also knew the history of why he was saying that, because mercury was added to vaccines in a form called Thimerosal in 1932. And Eli Lilly, which was the manufacturer, was because people knew then that mercury was horrendously neurotoxic. Mercury is 1,000 times more neurotoxic than lead. You would never shoot lead into your baby.
Why was Thimerosal introduced into the vaccines?
It was allegedly introduced as a preservative, but it doesn't kill. It doesn't kill streptococcus or any of the other contaminants you would be worried about. In fact, it kills brain cells at 1/30th the dose that it takes to kill streptococcus or staphylococcus. So it wasn't a good preservative. What NIH admitted to me in 2016, the real reason was there as an adjuvant. An adjuvant is a toxic material that they add to dead virus vaccines to amplify the immune response.